everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Apex, the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're finally home and Enoch is finally back on the show. It has been a crazy week with LAN happening. Obviously, we had Finn, the good old Finn, back on the show the last few days, or the last few episodes, I should say, with all the boys. It's been a blast. It's been awesome, but I gotta be honest. It's nice to be back in front of the screen, seeing Enoch on the other side. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, man. I've got nothing to complain about. It's grind season, and it's been going really well. I had an absolute doozy of a day yesterday, which was just an opportunity to iron out the mental, because I'm not gonna lie. So my first game yesterday. So I played for 24 hours. My first game on, plus 267.
Let's go.
I was 13 hours deep into stream. I was plus 200 on the day.
Oh shit!
Right,
no.
right. It was, no. And I had gone up, but there was a point because you can check on Apex Legends status, where you can click on the history, and it'll show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You're past 12 matches, and I only had one. I only had one positive at one point, but we kept it together. We dialed in and we brought it back, and we ended out with 2,500. And so it was a good day. My problem was I set my RP expectations too low, and I had too much time, and so I had to waste a bunch of time so I could still get the RP that I was planning on getting.
Yeah,
you just got to set the bar higher.
You just got to set the bar higher. That's all it is.
Yeah,
I mean, you're almost number one right now.
Yeah. So currently number 7. Right now, I'm only 160 RP from number 6, and then from number 6 to number 5 is only 700 RP. And so I'm planning on a nice little 4 to 5K session today, and then probably have another one of those on Thursday and a Friday. And so hopefully we'll be ending out the week number 1. But if not, we always got next week. But yeah, dude, it's grind season. Here, I was going to share it with you earlier, but I'll do it now. So last stream, 24 hours. Stream before that, 22 hours, 36 minutes. Stream before that, short one, 18 hours, 57 minutes. So a 19 hour. The stream before that was a 20 hour, 20 minute. The stream before that was 22 hours, 24 minutes. And that was the first day of the season.
Dude, holy shit. And you're still here. You're still here on the pod. That's crazy, bro.
And no, because I in my head I was scheduling it out, and I was like, oh, okay. If I played till 12:30 today, got off, slept, got to bed around 2ish, woke up at 9:50 and crawled out, and then took a little morning shit, right? Post wake up shit, and then was here with you and Talmadge, ready to get it, and got that part done. Now we're finishing out this part, and then it's I got a nice. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna play from now until it'll probably be another 24, 23 hour, and then I'll sleep for 6 to 8, and then I'll probably crank dude, I think I'm getting on at 8 a.m. with Watson on Thursday, and I probably won't get off until sundown on Friday, and so that'll probably be a 36 hour something.
There we go.
On Thursday and a Friday, which it'll be fun.
I love to hear. I gotta be honest, dude. I don't know how you guys do it, because during LAN, when it was wake up at 8, get to LAN by 9, be there till 10, and then record, and then have it out by usually 2 or 3, and then wake up dude, I was a zombie. I couldn't wake up. The whole house had to wake me up to get me in there to the next day. I don't know how you guys do. I can't wake up. I literally cannot wake up like that. So props to you. Props to you.
No, legitimately, when it comes to streaming and everything, and dude, I am I'm genuinely so excited each and every time that I'm waking up, because I have a goal that I'm working towards. And then, because the main reason I'm doing a number 1 grind right now, right, is almost solely entirely because I have a child coming on the way.
Like,
and
it's
we
not
need to
gonna
get
be
these
possible.
numbers up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We need to be getting these numbers up. I got a child on the way. And so I got that motivation. And then it's just an opportunity to just wake up, put forth the best that I have to offer, and then do it for as long as I can, and then take a nice little sleep, and just put in as much work as I can the 6 days of the week that I'm going to be getting after it. Because even with the number one grind, I'm still not playing Friday sundown to Saturday sundown.
Yeah,
like that's just not happening. But I got 6 24-hour time sessions to work with in between, and I'm going to be making the most out of that time as I can.
there you go. I love it. I love to hear it. So, all right. So, first regular show back from LAN, and obviously we have already said our thoughts. If you guys want all of those thoughts, we have all the episodes up, so you can go check it out. Finn was on me with those episodes. Also, we have a very great crew members. Like we have such a great crew on this show. Connor helping out behind the scenes. I met his friend Donnie, who is just an Apex genius. He's helping out with some of the streams now too, and he's helping out with some notes with me behind the scenes. Like we have such a great crew, and it was awesome to have all those guys there. And also, I just want to shout out everybody who stopped by, said what's up, said hello at LAN. So many of you came by, said like it's just so surreal. Like it really is cool. Taking pictures. I signed 2 mouse pads. That was insane. I made sure I signed right next to Imperial How on one of them. So, I was like, I gotta be right there next to it. So I just want to shout out everybody who came up, said hello, said anything. We really do appreciate it. It's awesome. We got to get Enoch to one of these bad boys, because it would be a blast if we had all the boys over there. But it was awesome. Because we didn't get any of your thoughts yet, I do kind of want you to run through and talk about some of the things you thought from this LAN, some of the things you took away from it, and then we can get into Rostermania.
So key takeaways from LAN. Yeah, it was cool to watch. It was definitely like that final Sunday was, I think, the most like excited people have been to watch Apex Legends in a while. And the fact that we were able to walk away with somebody that wasn't DZ or TSM, I think is absolutely huge for the sport. And having it be like an APAC North team, I believe, is super exciting, because it's going to put a little bit more attention over on those boys. Because, I mean, they're incredibly talented in that region. And I would say they probably don't always get the respect that they deserve, probably even from me. I'm going to keep it a whole buck. I'm NA biased as it can get, and I'll be upfront and honest about it.
Finn was roasting him low key on the final day. Like he doesn't want to admit it. I was like, if you listen to the episode, he was kind of hating on him a little bit, and I was like, "Are you hating?" He's like, "No, I don't mean it to sound like that." But yeah, I think a lot of NA people, I think we're a little upset. We want NA back on top, And
we will be, no doubt. And but it's definitely it's good for the scene. I mean, Rostermania that's going to be breaking out, which we're about to talk about, is I think like the biggest result of this LAN. I mean, obviously this LAN, like a lot of these Rostermania moves, were going to be coming regardless of how this LAN went. But you can definitely see within some of the decisions that are being made that this LAN played a factor into it, and so we're going to be seeing a whole lot of like the same teams with different looks, and it'll be interesting to see who the top team is after all of these move arounds, and it'll really be interesting to see like who is able to gel and fit the best. Because if you have a team of players who aren't like, I mean, you got the current DZ roster, they're probably going to be going somewhere else, right? Because Hal made it clear that he's joining Zero and Jen. He's not joining DZ.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming that they're probably going to be getting picked up by probably an org that's somewhat involved with the World Cup thing that they're doing.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's probably what's going to be ending up happening with that. But so like that team on paper, right? It should be, those guys should never lose a game. Like if you look at it on paper, simply they should never lose. But in a game like Apex, where it's just so many different moving parts, it really just depends on, at least in my opinion, that if a team is gelling and playing well together, then that is like that's more like has a bigger impact than necessarily all of the individual players' skills.
Mhm.
And so with all these different shifts, it's going to be interesting to see like how teams are going to perform. I think one of the biggest winners of all this Rostermania stuff is LG, as they're able to scoop and pick up Sykes after he's more than proved himself as an effective like anchor character. Anchor player, and he fits that role, can do it effectively. And I think that his comms and what he'll bring to help Sweet is gonna be a very 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 strong roster.
We're so excited.
It'll
about
be
roster.
interesting to see who can take down the zero how Jim Burton. I mean,
Yeah, it's the super
that's
team.
just come on.
It's the super team.
It is a super team.
It's so exciting that like last Rostermania, we had to wait forever for certain balls to drop, right? Like it took fucking forever for certain guys to get to certain teams, and then we're like, oh, okay, so this is it. Like the Sweet LG thing took forever to come out. Like it just took so long. This time it happened literally like a couple days after the event's over. So it is really really cool. Last thing on the last LAN before we get into this Rostermania, I know we're chomping at the bit to get to it. Your favorite moment, just your top moment from the last LAN. Any games, player, specific thing?
I mean, easy. I mean, when E8 won game, when E8 won game 6,
dude, I wish you could have been in the building for that.
No, that I would, dude. That is something like that is an experience that like is one that I wish I could have had a little bit of a taste of. Just being in that stadium and hearing every single person like basically yelling out E8.
Yeah,
like that's cool because like that team is like obviously it's very different from the team that like I was working with and I was coaching, but like that's like the remainder of the team that like I picked and brought to the org and then coached, and then to like see them get to like the level of play that I always knew that they were able to do, it was cool. And I was really excited to see like the boys pop off and do well. Obviously the first 5 contests were just like,
yeah,
I was like, oh,
we can forget
man,
those.
I was like the boys, I was like there's still time, they got this.
Yeah,
there's still time.
The funniest part about that whole situation is like they got 0 points in the first 5 games and somehow ended up with more points than TSM. Like it's the craziest stat that I look at. It shows how it shows that the writing was maybe on the wall a little earlier than we would have thought with that. But let's transition that perfectly into Rostermania, the biggest move that we would have ever seen in Apex. Now, I'm going to say something about the Apex community. They are not very good at keeping secrets because the entire time we were at LAN, rumblings the whole time. You heard it everywhere. Everybody was saying something really, really big is happening after this LAN is over. You heard it everywhere. And when you think Apex, the only thing that you'd be like something really, really big is happening is Hal is going to leave or go somewhere, or something's happening with the TSM roster, and that ends up being correct because Hal is leaving TSM. He's already left TSM, and now he is teaming with Zero and Jen Burton. Just your overall thoughts on this, at least from the TSM side of things, and just the legacy part of it, Enoch. What it means for Hal to be leaving TSM.
I mean, I would say I would quote Hal and basically say like he's accomplished all there is to accomplish. Like there's really not like a single thing that you could look at and be like, oh, he hasn't done. Like he's literally like if the career of being an Apex Legends pro player was a game, he would have won. Like he's done it all. And I guess he's at the point where he doesn't, like at this point in his career, he would rather take that step back in terms of like no longer being the IGL and just focus more on just like being just the absolute best player he can be in the role that he needs to play for his team, and to be the best and to be on the best team he could possibly be on. And just when like, I mean, when he came on here, what did he tell us, man? He told us all he cares about is winning. He said, I just want to win.
All he wants to do.
He just said he doesn't care. He just wants to win. And in his eyes, his best chance of winning is with Jen Burden and Zero. And you can't blame him. You can't be like, oh, there's a better team out there for him to join. There's not. And it's like Apex's first like super team. Like, but I mean, and House said it himself, like I think you could consider like the OG TSM, like, well, not OG TSM. I mean, at the time, obviously OG TSM was like a super roster, but like the team of like Hal, Reps, and Verholst, that's a super roster. Like that, I mean, that is a super roster. Reps is like one of the best MMK players to touch the game, point blank, period. And then Evan is like, people are like having a debate on who's better between Hal and Evan, and it's just like they're a super team. But like this new one, I mean, with like the new super team, I definitely think is better. And I think it'll be interesting to see how they do. All of the pressure is on them, though. I mean, they probably aren't going to really be affected by it or feel it, but literally everybody who doesn't want them to win, like instead of it, I feel like instead of it being like like they're just a team out there, it's going to be a team that you either want to win or everybody wants to see them do really bad.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this team is going to have a lot of haters.
I heard some rumblings that the winner of all of this is Sweet because it puts him back into the favor of like the small guy, even though he's not like the small guy. Like obviously Sweet is a gigantic name. And now with Sykes, like you mentioned earlier, like this is going to be a very, very good team. And we'll get to them in a second, but it puts the scope of being like they are the now underdogs that you want to see come to the top of the mountain and take it and win. And so, yeah, I did hear rumblings about that. It will be a love or hate thing with the super team. It's the same thing that happens with any sort of super team being formed in any other sport. There's a lot of teams and people who are like, okay, well, if you have the ability to win every single time, would you go and take it? And then there's other people like, yeah, I'd want to win, but I would rather do it with, the people I came up with, which there's an argument to be made in both of them. But I'm not going to blame Hal for anything. And like you said, like he's done everything. And part of me wonders, like, maybe, and I don't know because I haven't talked to him or anything, but I do think maybe there's a point where you've IGL'd basically so long and you've been at the forefront of everything for so long. I do think there's value in being like, I kind of just want to sit back and play. I don't know if that's what he's thinking or feeling, but imagine just being stuck in that role forever and you're looked at as like the greatest one in that role, but you still want to play the game, but maybe you're not as in love with that role anymore. Maybe that's a reason to kind of want to, take a step back and just kind of sit back and play. I've thought about that a few times. I don't know if that's how he would feel, but I do think that there's merit to it a little bit, just wanting to go out there, run around. People say controller brain and just be able to shoot things. I mean, the game is fun when you're shooting things. You know that. Like sometimes it's fun to just shoot things, and maybe that's what he wants to do now. He doesn't want to have to make all these calls and get them in these right spots, and then hope that everybody does their role perfectly. Maybe he just wants to be the one that runs around and shoots things, and I respect that. I respect that a lot.
And he had. I was watching his stream, and when he was talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, the LG offer was on the table as well, but Zero's just better."
The rivalry's still there, dude. Hey,
he just said Zero's just better.
Yeah. What about the face that Zero made in their first scrim? By the way, they win their first scrim game, which was amazing. And Zero's face looking at the camera, just like just knowing what they've done. Like they have put it together.
Yeah, I mean, like this team is just without a doubt more than likely going to go down as the best Apex Legends roster that probably, at least for foreseeable future, we'll see in like a long time. I think it's going to take like 10 to 20 years before we see like a team that's going to be as talented as these guys. Maybe we see it much sooner than that. But I mean, these got to be like they're all top 10 highest earning, no doubt, no question. It's just you just put a bunch of winners together and you're just going to get more winning.
Yeah.
Did you see what Zero's stream Noti was the first stream he went live?
No.
I think I didn't see it myself, but my friend said it and read it to me. I mean, it was something along the lines of like no longer doing Make-A-Wish like plays. Finally have a third that has a brain.
Damn.
And I was like, bro, why do you need to do that?
You want to know what's even worse?
Sykes and Zainu.
You want to know what's even worse? And is in Hal's stream, they were talking about how they were all celebrating Sykes' birthday, and he just knows that he's getting dropped. He's at his birthday party. They're talking about their team that they're creating at his birthday party. Like they were talking about it like that. That was what Hal was saying in his introductory stream to the new team. And it wasn't like like mean spirited. He already knew what was happening, but I just saw I was like, damn, at his birthday party. That's crazy. That's nuts. Speaking of the top 10 highest earning, there's a lot of talk around which org it's going to go under. And I tweeted something out. It's actually the biggest tweet I've ever had. I said, here's what I know. Apex enters the Esports World Cup taking place in Saudi Arabia. The two best IGLs in the world join forces. Why hadn't this happened in the past? Hal says he's teaming, not joining DZ. I think I know where this is being funded. Interesting stuff.
I would say you're pretty much spot on.
If you think an NA org can pay that ticket, you are crazy in the head. If you think Red Bull is going to join into Apex, Hal said it on a stream, they would have done it way earlier. There's only one place where this money is coming from, and they've got a ton of it. And I think you know where it's going. I think we know what's going to happen with this team and where they're going to sign.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've seen some rumors that people believe it'll be Falcons, that org, or another org from that area. But yeah, I think it'll be exciting to see. It'll be cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I think ever since Apex entered the Esports World Cup, I think we were on like a crash course for this eventually. Like, it just made the most sense. Like, if Saudi's funding the Esports World Cup, it would be crazy for them not to have a Saudi support, like a team with Saudi support there, right? It wouldn't make any sense. So, obviously, nothing is confirmed yet, but I mean, I can't picture any org being able to pay that tab. There's no way. Like, did they all make a good amount? And like you said, they probably are the top 3, at least top 5 earning pros in the scene. So I don't think an org's funding that. I think it's coming from somewhere else. So we'll have to see what the announcement is in the upcoming days. But yeah, as far as the org goes, that's what it is. They are not going to be under Dark Zero as far as we know now. Okay, let's move on into what you were talking about earlier with LG getting Sykes. Sykes, obviously the one who leaves Dark Zero. He goes over to LG. What are your thoughts on this? Because I think this is a very, very good move for Sweet moving forward.
Oh, I think it's huge. I think it's the best fit that he could have had. I mean, you hate to see Slayer getting dropped. Obviously, like, yes, like he was the first knocked on a lot of situations. Yes, he did get the blame. But he was playing a role that he was new to. He was playing a character that he was new to. There was a lot of learning, a lot of adjusting. And I definitely think that team, if they had stayed together, they would have been able to iron things out and make it work. But at the end of the day, I guess we saw the upside of Sykes being too great. As Sykes is like, Slayer was like emerging and becoming like a really good support character. I mean, anchor role, and like Caustic, and was really developing well. But Sykes is someone who's proven and established that he already is that guy. And so Sweet decided that was the right move for him. And I think that the way that Sykes communicates and the back and forth between him and Sweet, I think will be really good for the team.
Jayhawk made a really good point on his stream yesterday when they were watching scrims. And we had actually a podcast that we did live for the first time, I think, on Twitch. Go follow us on Twitch. But he mentioned it on the podcast as well. And it was essentially that Sykes is so good at being able to know what he needs to do with the next play. And Sweet has always been an IGL that has to micro a lot. And with all of his teams in the past, he's had to heavily micro. With Sykes, he does not have to do that. There was a specific play where they were fighting right outside of North Pad, I believe. And you know how there's those little trenches down below. I believe Sykes goes down. They finish the fight. They win it. And Sykes calls out on his own. He says, Funk, make sure you scan this area, like a specific side. Those little things are going to help Sweet out so much, make his job so much easier, and is why they had to make the move from Slayer to Sykes, because he has that experience and he has that long track record of being in these types of situations and knowing what the right play is at that time. And it's going to really, I think, bolster what LG is going to be able to do in split 2, but also just take a lot of stress off of Sweet. And, you know, only time will tell how it will truly work out. But I do think Sykes doesn't get as much respect as he's deserved in the league right now. I mean, every team he goes on to, he's obviously not the biggest name there, but he plays really, really well. The team does really, really well. And I mean, he's just been on a record breaking Dark Zero roster that, you know, they got second, but it was bound to happen at some point that a team other than Dark Zero and TSM was going to win. And he played great for that team, and he will always be remembered as a part of that roster. So I think this is going to be huge for LG moving forward, and I'm excited to see what LG can do as they go in. Another big one here that I got flamed for yesterday on the live podcast: Designful trialing with TSM today. Obviously, Imperial Hal leaving. It looks like Evan and Reps are going to continue playing together under the TSM name. And today they were playing with Designful. Your thoughts on this, Enoch? This is an interesting one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it has potential. There's not too many IGLs out there that could really come in and fit the shoes of How. And if there is one, I think Design is on his way to becoming it. We saw him grow absolutely enormously when he was playing with Timmy and Enemy, and because at the start of that it was really like Timmy was the IGL, but then Design basically over time eventually took over the reins, and really it seemed like he was the IGL of the team. And yeah, it's an incredible opportunity for Design to really step out and really just truly take over that roster and really make a name for himself. Because like with DSG, whenever you look at that team, the first person that everybody is always going to talk about is always going to be Timmy. And so now with Design moving over to TSM and filling like this massive hole, there's going to be an immense amount of eyes on him, and it's going to be an opportunity for him to like truly set himself up above everybody else. And that man is going to put in the work. I think he's one of the hardest working players in the game, and him and Reps, they get along really, really well. Him and Evan, they get along well, and it's gonna be fun to see.
There's two parts of me when it comes to this deal, and you know, obviously nothing's been signed yet and nothing's like set in stone yet, and things are subject to change, but I'm pretty sure this is happening. And there's two parts of me that, like, my feelings are in two separate zones here. The first one thinking I don't think this is going to work. And part of me is like, why would he do this with how successful DSG has been over the last two events? You know, like they were so close on both of those, and it seemed like the team really gelled together well. If you were inside the arena, the DSG jerseys were out in full force. That was probably the most sold jersey there. Everybody had one. Like it didn't matter what fan of whatever team you were rocking a DSG jersey. It seemed like it was a really good fit. But then there's the other side of me that says, okay, like you talked about, Enoch, it seemed like Timmy was trying to IGL up points, and then Design was also trying to IGL up points. And I kind of want to see Timmy completely on his own. You know, he went under the wing of Designful, probably learned a ton from him, and I want to see, you know, whoever fills that third, if this ends up being the case, I want to see what he's able to do on his own, and then parts of me wants to see what Design can do on his own because they've been kind of leaning on each other a little bit here and there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mid-season in Split 1, it was okay. Design's like, I'm taking a step back from doing this. I'm going to end up doing like a little bit more of the macro and kind of focusing on that, letting Timmy do the micro. So how is this going to work when all of a sudden now it's like, okay, you're here? I will say for Design, if he does go to TSM, having Reps there is gigantic because Reps has always been somebody who bounces ideas off of Hal and is able to
And
give
Evan.
and Evan as
in
well.
his own right, he does an exceptional job of that as well.
Yeah, so it is an interesting move, and I do think like if you were like just based on personality, who should fit the role of Imperial Hal? I think Design. I think he kind of fits that. Like it does personality wise, like he does have the mean streak in him, and you know he is very confident in himself. So there's parts of me that really likes it. There's parts of me that really doesn't like it. And I think part of me that really doesn't like it still just wants to see them be together because it's so fun to watch Timmy design an enemy as a team. It always has been fun. As ever since they came in as the dojo, as the complete underdogs who just shocked the world and then, you know, was one fight away from winning their first land together. It's like you kind of always wanted to see them
They were
together.
one fight away from winning this one.
They were one fight. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, dude.
So,
They're. I mean, like, and yeah, I mean, it's so good. They're so good.
yeah,
And so
it hurts a little.
It's tough. It really is tough because like this is a team that you looked at, and I for one, I thought this was a team that was just always going to play together.
Yeah.
Like when the moment I saw this team up, I was like, they're going to be really, really good. And with just like how well they meshed, it seemed like this was going to be like a forever team. But I mean, this is a good example of like in sports, there are hardly ever forever teams. And it's just, you got to hope for the best. Like I think it'll go a little bit different than the way you're saying. I don't think that Timmy is going to take over the reins. I think that they'll probably end up bringing in Dropped.
Ooh.
I think that Dropped with Dropped with Timmy and Enemy could be absolutely just dangerous. As we've seen, like, because that's like 2 MK players who are some of the best to do it. And Enemy along with them, like, come on now.
Yeah.
That's just free.
Yeah.
So I think that could be an exceptionally good fit. And then I think that I do believe that Design will do well if he ends up going to TSM. But if either of those rosters don't perform, it's really going to be like, man, they really just had something. They really had something. And so we hope we have more things, but if we have less things, it'll be like, man, we really had something.
Yeah, I think that's just I think that's the part of me that doesn't want it to happen, is just that weird sadness of like that team completely flipping everything that we know about Apex competitive on its head. Everybody's like, there's no way this works. Like a streamer like Timmy will never be able to compete like that because he's got to deal with all the content stuff, and Design was struggled here and there. And then all of a sudden they just dominate. And it's going to suck not seeing that team be together if this ends up being the case. The other big one here, Frex is now LFT and Koifel was playing with SSG. This one, I think, could be a very underrated, great pickup. Koifel has,
I think it's one of the best teams, and they're going to be. They should be top 5 guaranteed with this roster. I'd be absolutely shocked. It'll really just it does shift Zainu into like the more of like the role that Frex was playing, as like Koifel is kind of taking over that top fragger spot, and so it'll be interesting to see how that develops. But yeah, I think that SSG is definitely going to be one of the best teams in NA that we'll see out there.
Yeah, it's a super exciting pickup. Obviously, Koifel did great at LAN, filling in with Legends, and we knew what Koifel could do in the Pro League when he was with XZ, because we kept talking about him all the time. We're like, why is XX struggling? Well, XZ struggling for a lot of reasons, but Koifel has been keeping them on par and keeping them close to this race with how many kill points he's putting up. So, you know, it's going to be interesting. And I felt like SSG has always kind of been the team where their fighting has been the one area where they lacked a little bit, and bringing in a guy with that stature is going to be very, very big for Phony. And I think it's going to catapult them into, like you said, like a top 5. Like I could 100% see this team split to top 5 NA. So very exciting moves there. We obviously have a lot more stuff coming up here in the next coming weeks. So Rostermania, it's going to live on for a little bit now. But for the majority of the major moves, those are it right there. Ladies and gents, we are going to send it on down into our interview with the E8 head coach, and it was an awesome one. The beginning of the interview is an absolute banger. But before we get into all that, for the very first time, the Apex podcast is sponsored by Prize Picks, ladies and gentlemen. Prize Picks. What is Prize Picks? Well, it's the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more or less than 2 or 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks is the most fun I've had winning this Apex season. Prize Picks was incredible for me this Apex season. I had so much fun. Every single Pro League day, I was completely locked in on my entries, trying to find a way to win. You know, obviously, I had one of the greatest streaks of all time. I'm not going to say if that was wins or losses. I'll let you decide, but it was an incredible streak. So Prize Picks was so great. It was so awesome. Test your skills on Prize Picks this upcoming Apex season or with any of the sports going on right now. There's so many to pick from. It's the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. It's very simple to play. It takes less than 60 seconds. It also has quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types. And it's what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Right. Oh, also, Prize Picks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account for all of your sports and daily fantasy sports needs. Go on down to prizepicks.com/theapex and use code THEAPEX for a first deposit match of up to $100. Once again, go to prizepicks.com/theapex and use code THEAPEX, THEAPEX, for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Ladies and gents, without further ado, let's send it on down to the interview. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with a very, very special guest. We've got E8 Talmadge, coach of E8. My man, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. I just enjoyed a whole box combo.
Yeah,
I'm ready, bro.
Yeah,
I'm ready, man.
That was probably the fastest I've ever seen somebody scarf down a Raising Cane's box combo. That was actually really impressive. It was.
Man. So sometimes you just gotta understand speed kills, man.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to do it. For people who don't know behind the scenes, to look behind the curtain, every guest we have on the show, we always run a test, and I always ask the question in the test, "What did you eat today?" And he's just scarfing it down as I'm asking the question. I'm like, "Let's go. It's going to be a great interview. It's going to be a great day."
Yes, sir.
Well, okay, so there's so much to talk about here. I mean, you guys obviously had a fantastic run. Obviously finals didn't go the way you guys wanted. Actually, I think that's where I could start. Were you and 07 when they walked over, were you guys making dinner plans? What was the conversation like? What was that whole thing going down?
Oh man. Okay. So 07 decided to come to our booth after game 5, and Nasky tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "I mean, what are we doing here, guys? You know, like we this it's been 5 in a row now. Like, can we just make this stop? Can you guys land somewhere else?" And so I sat there, and I shrugged my shoulders, man. I said I didn't know. I didn't know what to say. And so he said, "Well, can you tap Zach on the shoulder?" And I tap Zach on the shoulder, and Zach turns around, swivels his chair, and Nasky says the same thing to him. "Hey, what do you like? It's 5 in a row now. Like, we're just griefing each other at this point. Can you guys land somewhere else?" And Zach Mazer replied with something like, "I get paid $9K to contest, and you're getting paid $0 to contest and get 20th. So, that's where I'm standing right now."
That's baller.
And yeah.
That's baller. That is baller. And then they proceeded the next game to absolutely pop off. I guess that's the exclamation point on the entire thing.
Well, yeah, and that was the thing that I think Nasky had openly acknowledged. I think on a stream later in the week or something like that, he was like, "Yeah, we should have never went over after Game 5 because it gave him like he felt like it gave us some false confidence boost or
A little
something."
buff.
I'm not sure. A little bit of a buff, right? They're just annoyed. They just wanted us to leave, but guess what, man? We're just setting it all up just to drop 30 points in the game. Of course, of course.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I guess we'll start there with finals. And obviously you guys have such a good tournament leading up. You guys, I think you guys were 6th in the group stage. You guys win losers bracket 2. You guys barely miss winners bracket 1 by like 1 point. Like you guys were right there on the edge. Basically just really good. And then you just start off with those 5 straight games. And I guess my question to you, like as you're watching this go down, you're kind of having to sit in the passenger seat and watch them play, and like you want to help to the best of your ability. But what are you as the coach thinking in that moment, being like, damn, like I don't know what to do?
To keep the morale up, because we knew what we were signing up for, right? When we said that we were contesting on game day, we knew that what all the implications came with. We knew that there's a chance it doesn't go our way at the start, right? But that's the thing, is that when you stick to a plan A, and our plan A was that, and we didn't have a plan B, we stuck it, and it worked out how it worked out, for better or for worse. There wasn't a backup plan. We weren't gonna like ever leave or land bean or start mystery dropping on people like people were doing at oversight scrims. That was what we were doing, and that's what we told Nasky we were doing.
So what do you think was going wrong in the first 5 contests? Because typically you guys are known as one of like the best fighting teams in A, and just simply like we're not able to put it together for either of the first 5 contests.
I think after the 4th or the 5th contest, we started like having like the conversations, like, well, because we've been sitting there staring at a screen for an hour and a half. The guys start to they might get a little bit like weary. They're like, hey, like what's going on? Maybe it's just not our day or something like that. And at that point, it's reassurance, right? Like you're just trying to say like, hey, it's just a bad string of stuff that's happening, guys. Like, I promise you all this stuff is correctable if we just go back to our fundamentals and all the things that we've talked about for hours and hours. And lo and behold, the very next game, it's a 3-0 sweep on the con, and then you see the 30-pointer. It's the simple things that matter most.
And you
so
talk. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. What was it like during like those first 5 games doing what you guys could to keep the morale up? Because like as you said, like when you're in that land setting and in that environment, you're just sitting at that booth and you're just watching everybody else play the game as you guys sit there for how much time was that passed of you guys literally only getting to play 40 seconds, wait 20 minutes, 40 seconds at Apex, wait 20. Like that's just got to be tough on the mental.
Mm-hmm. It was, and I mean, I can imagine how they felt. They felt probably pretty bad, right? Because these guys want to go out and they want to give it their best effort no matter what, right? And sometimes the stuff just doesn't shake the way you want it to. But there's always a chance that if you get back to what you were really good at, you get back to the simple things, it'll come back with time. It's just a bad streak, and then you get out of it, and then you're good. It's good.
Yeah, and a 30-point bomb is definitely good. No doubt about that.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty good. So getting to that 30-point bomb, your emotions now. You've watched your team just struggle and struggle and struggle, and now they're I think it's like final 3. Zach dies to ring. You're like, oh god, oh no. Mazer moment, but then he comes back, you guys get everything all set up, and then you watch them go win the game. Like your emotions as a coach watching that after all the struggles they went through, like kind of run through that and talk about what you were feeling.
If anybody has seen my reaction to how it happened, I mostly just was like sitting there, and I'm just laughing, and I have my hands out, and I'm just kind of like, you see guys, like, it's the stuff that we all talked about. I was a little bit shocked, obviously, like, because no one's expecting a 30-point juicer like that. But it was also a feeling of to see like someone like Shuby just stand up and get real excited, pop off like what you guys saw, and start talking to Zach. Like it's great, man. Like and that stuff was was really fun, and it's a moment that you'll never forget, even if it came with a whole bunch of bad stuff before. Like it's beautiful.
Would you say that was like your best moment from this land? Because I know there was like very good moments with you guys throughout the entire tournament, but was that your favorite moment?
No, I would personally say my favorite moment was after we won game 2 in losers 2. And we were up to like 36 points, I think, through 2 games. We basically mathematically already qualified. That was the one where I was able to just embrace them, and that was like, you guys fucking did it, man. Like, we made it to finals. The rest of the time that it goes, like, I just want you guys to enjoy yourselves. We can just, the weight's off the shoulders, just go out there and just have fun, man. And we got 3 trial zones back to back to back. Apex is a competitive esport sometimes, The other times
Sometimes.
we'll see.
So
But
what was your like overall thoughts on the LAN experience as a whole this time, and how was it being in LA?
the first part of the question, this was easily the most fun LAN for me because we were winning, at least in the beginning. It was also the best team I've ever been. It's the best team I've been a part of. Um, the most fun I've had with a group of 3 teammates before, because the last time I was there was with Go Next for 2 separate ideations of the roster, with one with Missy and one with Josh. And either time, close but no cigar, close but no cigar. This time, it felt like we were confident and we were ready to just go and prove and show ourselves how good we really are when we're just doing the little things right. And then the second part of the question to answer, the experience in LA was amazing. We got there about 4 or 5 days early, did a boot camp, stayed at a really great Airbnb TL facility for boot camp. We had some amazing experiences with contesting RC, because RC was in the same facility as us while we were contesting for Cedo in scrims. And so that led to a lot of like fun banter back and forth. There's an incredible moment that I can always remember where we were sitting down and we were all just kind of like talking about the con or whatever, because I think we had just lost a con to RC. And then all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I start seeing like something like slowly scoot past my screen, or like past my eye. And I look to my right, and it's Obley riding around on a scooter that folds into a suitcase.
What?
And he's just staring us down through the glass panels, and just it glides into the kitchen. It was incredible. It's incredible.
What? Wait, a scooter that's also a suitcase?
Yes. I think if you look on Twitter, I think Tyler, Navi Tyler, I think he posted a video of somebody riding on it.
I have seen it. I have seen the video of the scooter in question.
I'm gonna have to see that scooter.
And it
I'm
was
gonna
very
have to
funny.
see that scooter. I'm gonna have to look it up. That's awesome though. And Obley would go on to win the whole damn thing. So that's crazy. I mean, it's amazing. But what were you gonna say?
I gotta say for certain, like, RC is easily the best contest team I've ever faced. Like, it's not even close. They know how to string it together. They play shotguns and smokes. They're really smart and disciplined with when they decide to peek on things. They're not going to kill themselves outright. They make it's all the contests were like separated by like 50 or 75 HP. I think the contest score ended like 9-9 or something like that. It was so close. It was so even. You just got to tip your cap to them, man. Like, they're triple M&K. They're just showing you that you don't need, double or triple controller to go and dominate like what they did. That you just got to go and play simple Apex, man.
There we go. It's beautiful. I wanted to revisit something you said earlier, where you said this was the best roster you think you've ever coached. And I kind of wanted you to run through the team and kind of give reasons why you believe that this was the best roster, and also like the reasons why you guys were able to have the success that you had. I know that obviously finals didn't go the way you guys wanted to, but I think a lot of teams look at Finals Sunday as a massive accomplishment in its own. So I think just getting there, especially where some of these guys were at beforehand, like, some of the players were memes at one point about like where their career was at, and all of a sudden they're just dominating out here. And obviously you guys win losers 2. You probably should have been in winners 1, to be honest with you. It was like a 1-point difference. So, just kind of talk about this team and what exactly has made it the best team.
To me, this is the best team because I was it's the most amount of feedback from the players I've ever gotten in terms of like what they like and dislike about like a plan that I give out to them, or feedback in general that I give to them. Do they think something's good? Do they think something's bad? We're just throwing ideas on the board, and then when something sticks and we think something sounds good, we run with it. And that's what I really value is to them, or from them, is the feedback of players that are much better than I am in terms of my skill of playing the game, right? But I'm just there to be a guide and to help them answer the tough questions in game, I think. And I think someone like Zach is really candid and honest with me about what he likes and dislikes about the things that I suggest or I do, and I'm able to do that back to him, and we're totally fair and honest with each other. And I think that's the best part of the relationship to me with Zach. I can say for Zap and for Shuby, they're both just willing to put in so much time and extra work behind the scenes, and after scrims, before scrims. I'm really grateful that they're able to just take in what I'm giving to them, what I'm guiding them with, and to be able to run with it at the capacity that they've been doing in such a short time. It's I can't ask for much more, man.
And so, this is the best team that you've coached so far. Can you give all of the listeners like a background of the coaches of the teams you've coached for previously, and as well as how you got into the position of being a coach and as one as successful as you have been?
I guess to start, like, to give it kind of like an origin story, I played this game for like three and a half years, I think. And I competed in challenger circuits, stuff like that. I did okay. It wasn't anything special, but what really like was special to me, and what really has always been like a passionate thing to me, is just helping or serving others achieve their goals and things. Because I had my best mentors in life have all been coaches, sports coaches, life coaches, things like that. And so that was a great vote. This is like an incredible vocation for me. So I started out small time, just helping out like community members, like friends, things like that. I had the privilege of learning from guys like Sea Lion, guys like Raven for like 6 months to a year. And then just like breaking down the game for me, basically relearning the game how I previously knew it, and applying a lot of the things that I learned, taking some of the things that I liked, taking some of the things I didn't like. And then I started my first coaching stint, I guess, was in EU Pro League with a team called Nightmare Esports. This was last year, so I think it's been about a year now. I wasn't great at my job, but I was like learning on the fly, and that's the beauty of like learning something like so quickly. And when you're that inexperienced, is that you're soaking in so much new info and things that might work, things that might not work. You're just hoping that something sticks. The problem is that I was doing too much, right? Like my scope was too big in terms of like what I was trying to offer to players. So, you start like trimming the fat. And my next stint after Nightmare was with Passion. I sucked at that too. But that's the beautiful thing, is that I started getting a lot of good feedback from myself and from other people about how I can actually be better at my job, and then my first like real opportunity was with Eternal. It was Eternal at the time, but it was then Go Next. Go Next, Bambi, Slab, and Josh. They gave me the opportunity to come and help them and go to LAN with them as long as I paid for my plane ticket. I went out to London with them for Split 2 playoffs. We got pretty close to making finals. It just, we played like Jurassic no beacon and Geyser with like a 33% ring console rate. So we just weren't getting beacon, bro. Like, it's just not happening. And we got close, but you just start learning how to actually like form game plans, how to actually like talk to players about like how they approach things in terms of their decisions and what they do, why they do things. And then after champs with Go Next didn't go that well, I decided to go reach out to Nasky, and I was actually going to be the coach of '07. I was the coach of '07 for 2 or 3 weeks maybe, and then I received a great opportunity from Zach he's like, hey, we'd really love some help with E8. If you'd love to like come and sit in on for a scrim, we'd love to have you. And I tried to help him as much as I could early on to give him as much info, talk about the game from my perspective, how I see it. And Zach was willing and receptive, right? He just wanted to get his feet right. He just wanted to get the train on track again. And the rest is really history from there.
So you're sitting, like, you're getting ready for a day, right? You wake up, you're getting ready for a day, and you need to give E8 a plan or whatever you do to give them to help them out. How does that look? So is it do you set it up by doing a bunch of VOD review and then coming up with something and handing it to them, or is it kind of just like talking about it in a Discord call? How exactly does that work? Because I'm always interested how the different coaches like provide their information. I think it's like super interesting.
Well, when I first got to E8, my number one thing that I wanted to like correct first was just like helping them with their overall macro and just like helping getting them into the winning spots on the map. So that way they're not playing the game on hard mode by fighting teams that they don't need to fight. And the way that I did that was just by telling them, hey, let's go play like zone POIs. Let's just go play zone. Let's just keep it simple. We don't have to go and play edge every game and try to kill everybody. That led to me just like saying, hey, here's my game plans. If we play for these spots, we're playing like the high priority spots. Here's like low priority spots for each particular zone. You start asking questions like, how do we win from this position? Can we even win from this position? Is this position just going to straight up kill us in like 2 or 3 zones from now? And so it's really just like a process of trial and error, seeing what works and what they feel like works. Sometimes you don't get the feedback right away. So you have to kind of like keep waiting and waiting to see what works. And then eventually like it just kind of happens. Like you'll see, well, I can give you guys a great example actually. Do you guys mind? So I would say for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks straight, we've been getting these overlook climatizer zones like non-stop in scrims. Even in on land, you were getting a ton of them. The thing with it is that from Survey Epi, you have to either go super fast to get up the hill to overlook, because if you end up on the bottom of or underneath overlook, then you're just going to get caught in a dog pile with a bunch of teams like 3 zones from now. Everybody has to move into overlook. The game ends there. So I was trying to like say, I said it like, at 15 different times in like 14 different ways, like, hey, our only objective here is to just get up the hill, just get into overlook, get to a truck, get to a northern res building, get to the garage, get to anything, just set your feet and play the game from there. And then I swear, probably 10 or 15 different times we ended up dying on early rotate trying to get up that hill. Like they're just figuring it out, like chopping the wood, just, they're like, oh, this is no good. We missed our smoke here. We didn't rotate when we needed to. And then eventually I just see it on land. I see Zach just go to the spot that we had talked about for months. And then he ends up getting like 12 or 13 points or something on the zone. And I'm just like, can we do that? Can we do it again? Like that's the best part is when they get to see it. And then I'm just like, dude, that's what we're talking about, man. Like, just get up the hill. That's what I've been saying.
Those are the moments I gotta just feel amazing as a coach, because it's like I feel like there's so many times where you can throw stuff out there, but they're not fully receptive to it yet. And I feel like that could be with any team, not specifically just E8. I think like a lot of teams, you can throw something and just be like, I don't know. But then when you finally get to see it come to fruition, that's got to be just like a fuck yeah moment. That's got to be one of the best ones.
Yeah, and I think that's the coolest part about it is when you get to like see something happen in front of you, and then you get that positive feedback, and you're just like, nice, we did it, right? But then you what was I going to say? We were just talking about that. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. I apologize.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
All good.
It was like you said it was like a nice.
Oh yeah. So the victory, like, nice, great job, guys. And then the best part about it is when they're just like, it's like we should have just listened to Talmadge earlier, bro. Like, he's been telling this shit for like
Yeah.
months. I'm just like, but that's the best part is that, like, you don't get that feedback until it happens, and then you're like, even when you get the negative feedback of like you dying on early rotate or you getting somebody getting picked on the rotate, something like that, you're just like, bro, like, how do we figure this out? Like, why do we keep messing it up? And then you get it right, and then it's like you can take that sigh of relief, and you're just like, bro, let's do it again. You know.
So individually between each player, right? Like, is there a way that do you kind of handle the team as a whole, or do you kind of look at each one individually and then maybe pull one aside and be like, hey, this is where you're struggling a little bit. This is where we can improve. Or is it more of just like a collaborative full team effort?
I think it's both. I think, like, if you're talking to the team, it's generally just like how I would like them to approach like their structure and like how they fight and stuff like that. In terms of like, hey, you should be doing this in situations where we're playing at a disadvantage, right? You need to play out wide and separate yourself so that way you can set up a crossfire when you're at a disadvantage. Um, we talk about, I say we a lot. Zach doesn't like it when I say we sometimes, which is pretty funny. But I try to use we because it's inclusive, and it tries to get people to like listen up rather than just like only like talking to one person or talking at one person. It's easier to just like make a general or create a general dialogue, and then for them to ask questions about their gameplay when you start incorporating like we into things, because it is a team at the end of the day. Now, there's also the individual portion. I can say, for a great example, Shuby. Shuby spent like so much extra time with me, just sitting in customs, talking about like how he's placing cat walls, how he's going to throw caustic ults, how he's going to set up like his cat spikes and stuff like that for different things. We're just sitting there, just labbing different things, spitballing ideas, and he's just receptive to everything. And I gotta say, that's like, he's definitely the most like coachable player I've ever been with, easily, because he's easygoing. He'll listen to you, and he'll give you his feedback on whether he likes something or not. And then he's like, okay, cool. If it works for him, then he's like, I'm gonna run with it. And I love that about him, man.
And so Shuby is regarded as one of, if not the best controller Bangalore players in the world, and yet he ended up on the caustic. And so, and I know that you guys had experienced with having Zach on Hound and then Zach on Bangalore, and then what ended up being like the reason that you guys ended up going with Zach on Bang, Shuby on caustic, and then Zap on Hound? And what was like that decision process like for you guys?
So we did a lot of, so right when Bang Blood Caustic meta first started, like right when the Evo system and stuff came out, uh, we ended up playing it. And the thing is that we started doing this like musical chairs thing where we were like, well, hey, this is where we think we're at with like this iteration of the comp, like Zap on Blood, Zach on Bang, should be on Caustic. Why don't we switch it around a little bit? Like, let's put Zap on Caustic and Shuby on Bang to see if we can get a little bit more juice out of it. And then we said, let's try Zach on Bang, or Zach on Blood. I think we had a Zach on Blood iteration too. Mm-hmm. And the thing that we ended up settling on was, for LAN, was Zap on Blood and Zach on Bang, because I think if Zach played something like Caustic is a little too slow for how Zach plays, and he also doesn't have a safety net. Zach likes to scout and like get forward and play for more info. He's aggressive, and so sometimes he gets caught out like by a team that he's not aware of, or something happens that sometimes things just happen on your screen. And he need, like, having something like Bangalore at that time was really valuable for him.
Bangalore tap strafe, that it goes crazy. Yeah. It just goes crazy. Like, I will say that Bangalore 100% MNK legend has to be.
Yeah, smoke placements, throwing bang ults and stuff like that. Where you're shooting your smokes, how you're shooting your smokes. Everything's easier on MNK for that versus controller. I think. That's
Mm,
not to take anything away from Shuby. I still think Shuby's a great Bangalore player. And I
no
think
doubt.
in just
Yeah.
about any other team, he'd be able to play Bangalore really well. And he still played Bangalore well for us when we asked him to. It's
Hmm.
just, there's sometimes it's about roles at the end of the day. And Shuby's our anchor player, and he's like our most stable player in terms of like how he plays. He plays really secure. He wins his trades, and then he basically makes sure that Zap and Zach don't kill themselves. Right?
So he's the overheat prevention on the squad.
Yes. Yes.
Gotta have it. You
Yeah,
gotta have
gotta
it.
have.
You
As
need
you
it,
can
bro.
see from me, the DZ zero let everybody know on the dangers of overheating.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I kind of have a weird question to ask, but I feel like it needs to be asked. The way I was placed at LAN, it always seemed like I was directly in front of the E8 booth. So I just got a clear view into seeing all four of you in there. And I got to say, like, I got to ask from your perspective, is Zach the most stressed out guy of all time? Because even when you guys were winning games, I mean, his arm, he's back. He's leaning back. He's just got his hands on his forehead. It looks like he just lost everything. It looks like he just lost all of his money in some sort of scandal, and he's just leaning back, just depressed looking, even though they just won the game. Like, what's going on there? Is it, what's the vibe like with Zach?
I think Zach just has really high expectations for himself and his teammates. And so when we came out flat. I think we'd all admit that we came out pretty flat in the first and second set of groups. And so when he comes out in the third set and we win the back-to-back games, like the Harvester and the staging zones, you see Zach's just got his hands on his head, and you can probably hear him on the hot mic saying like, "Oh my god!" And then he's just like, it's a sigh of relief, like all tension has left his body. I think it's just relief because of he pushes himself, he wants himself to be as great as he possibly can be. But then when stuff doesn't shake out the way that he wants it, which I mean that's natural, right? You start to just get a little bit disappointed, and then he really tightens up for the ones that he's like really. You can tell when he's really locked in, and then the ones where he just lets out like a big sigh of relief, or he's just saying, "Dude, we played that so well," like in his chair. And it's funny, man. Like you just got to tip your cap.
Yeah, no, I mean, I say he's the most stressed, but I was watching the VODs from the entire finals day just to kind of get the vibe. Cause like I said, I was sitting in front of you guys every single day, it seemed like. And his calms don't necessarily reflect his body language. Like he's very calm. And like, I remember, I think after the fourth or fifth time, he was just like, okay, guys, we did good that right there. We didn't win it, but like he's just calm. And there was one moment I wanted to bring up to you. I don't know if you remember it. Can you can hear them, right? Like talking to one another while the game's going on.
Yeah,
You can hear them.
yeah.
So there's a
Mm-hmm.
moment in the game that you guys win in finals where you guys are about to hit an evac over Jurassic. You guys are flying in. Zach hits a tree, goes, "Oh, that's interesting." Falls to the ground, almost gets killed, runs behind a tree, starts to heal. A grenade lands at his feet, and he goes, "Oh, that's a good nade," and then gets launched back into the field where everybody's shooting at him, somehow doesn't die. And like, it's just a crazy dichotomy because you're watching his body language. You're like, this guy's so tensed up. He's stressed out. But then you listen to him talk and he's calm as hell. Like he's got something crazy going on. Like his growth over this last year has been insane. Like, is there anything you can attribute that to? Like, at least from that you've seen?
Um, I would say number one, he's put in a ton of hours into TDMs and his mechanics and stuff like that. He's really tidied up on that. That's something that he takes a lot of pride in himself about. He can say that himself, that he was grinding TDMs during the off season. He was trying to be just to make sure that he wasn't going to be a liability in fights. He wants to make sure that he's doing enough damage. And he was top damage dealer on our team in Pro League, and he was top damage dealer on LAN as well for our team. It's just how he plays, and you just gotta salute him for that. Another thing that helps out a lot for him was just getting a simplified way to like play the game from me. I wanted to make sure that he can play the game as linearly as possible, if that makes sense, with as few steps that you need to think about. And when you get to eliminate a lot of the variables in the game, you get these really favorable positions, and then the game kind of plays itself out. It really makes you look good. It makes Zach look good, and it should, because he's listened to the feedback. He's there for VOD reviews. He's there for after hours. He's showing up, and it's the fruits of his labor.
Is there any different, like, I feel like dealing with an IGL or coaching an IGL is kind of like having a quarterback, right? It's like, obviously you need to make sure the whole team knows the game plan, they're up to snuff, but the quarterback is essentially the one who's going to make it go. And when you get an IGL, like, is there a different way you have to coach him compared to the rest of the team, or is it all just kind of the same?
I try to be as um, impartial to him and Zap and Shuby as I possibly can, because I, I really want it to be like something where it's okay for us to highlight like your own mistakes or like each other's mistakes, but just make sure that it's constructive and it's not like destructive, right? You want to make sure that you're able to talk about it amicably as a team, and you're not like exploding on each other for small mistakes or anything like that, because that's really what sets you back as a team, I think, is when you start blowing up at each other and just you can't actually have meaningful conversations. um so I think for him, the best way that I can approach talking to him is to like talk about it logically, talk about like the steps of like how something just logically came about, and then you start like backing it up a step, and then he starts to get it more of what I'm saying. There's also times where he doesn't get what I'm saying, and then he's just like, I don't really understand what you're saying right now, but okay. And that's enough too, right? Because you don't want to overwhelm them when they're playing. You can save it for review. It's fine.
All right, so LAN is behind us. What are you exactly looking forward to as you guys are heading into this next split?
I think we haven't actually discussed like a team goal internally, but I would really love for us to push for top three this split in Pro League. I think it's definitely doable. It was really doable last split if we somehow had like an even better day than what we did in regional finals, or if anything would have shook the right way in the previous 6 weeks, we would have probably been top four, top three in our first split together. Now, I think that we could definitively get top three, and that's the goal that I want to set for ourselves. So that means that we got to make sure that we're getting top four and top three in scrims on a consistent basis. We know how to play everything from Survey Epi and from Ceto Station like the back of our hands. It's just like reaffirming the game plan. It's just making sure we're brushing up on it, and we're not slacking because of maybe like a lack of variety in the zones that we're getting in scrims, just like the overlook zones, the climatizer zones that I was mentioning earlier. Like, it's easy to just like gamify it and be like, okay, well, we're getting two zones like that, and then you end up getting a mod stack zone thrown on your head or something like that, and it's like, well, do we actually know how to play for mod stack zones? And so it's just going back and doing the little things again, walking it back.
So the other big thing about any offseason is there's always Rostermania, and there's already rumors flying around and all that different kind of stuff. How do you kind of deal with all of that? Because it could change the landscape of the entire scene. Obviously, we've already seen a super team get built, but also like sometimes it can affect your own team. And there's nothing confirmed yet, but there's things happening right now with E8. So how do you handle and deal with all of that?
Trying to be discreet and mindful of people's privacy. People have to move around on their jobs and have to relocate with different teams and different players. Now they have to relearn a whole new thing. So it's about just keeping our practice probably like closed for the first week or two if we can, um, and making sure that everybody's just comfortable and they're able to get progressively more comfortable as the season approaches. That's what matters most to me, is that we feel like we're real confident going into Pro League.
I wanted to also talk a little bit about your this team, because this team will always, I think, go down as one of your favorite times. You already said like this was one of the best teams, or if not the best team you've ever coached. I want you to
Hmm.
understand that the way this team looked will also always be the funniest visual I've ever seen. Just looking at it on the stream, where you've got Zach, where there's just light reflecting off of his forehead, and he's stressed out, and then it goes over to Shuby, and he looks like a death metal drummer. Like everything's so dark, like his hair's just in his like. You have a very interesting looking team as well. I just wanted to. It was always the funniest whenever E8 popped up on the main broadcast, because it was just so funny to watch, and it was just an interesting time. Were you aware of how wacky that visual looked?
Um, uh, I think like getting to watch, because I know E8 was the E8 Twitter account was posting up like all of our wins and stuff like that, and they were giving us great feedback. It was really cool to get to see like the post game reactions. Like I would go back and watch our wins and stuff like that to see how the crowd reacts and how the team reacts. And that's the most beautiful part about it to me, is like the community coming together to celebrate something that's as awesome as playing video games and doing it for millions of dollars. I don't think you can get much better than that to me. So I just got to say, man, I appreciate you guys for the things that you do for supporting the scene genuinely. Like it means a lot to me, and
Thank you.
I know it means a lot to the people that actually tune into these, because there's probably a lot of them, and you guys are people that are help driving the scene, man. And I gotta just give you flowers, man.
Appreciate it. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Like last thing, this isn't even a question, but when you guys did win, and then Shuby goes into Zach, because you can see it in the VOD if you go back and watch it. One game, Zach. All it takes is one fucking game, Zach. Like, that's a top tier moment. That's the other thing I need to bring up too. I forgot about this. Like, obviously, finals didn't go the way we wanted, but there are key moments that I think people will always take from lands that wasn't necessarily who won. And I think E8 winning after losing the first 5 games goes down in history no matter what. So I think you guys will always be in history for that, because the pop inside that stadium, I thought the roof was going to come off.
I could hear it through my headset, because those headsets are supposed to be like noise canceling, like you're not supposed to hear a whole lot, but you can still hear some things. And when we got the we killed '07 on the con, and then we ended up going towards checkpoint tunnel, and then we ended up killing 2 people on DZ. The stadium was freaking out there. And then obviously when the entire endgame scenario is playing out and we have the best spot in zone for like zone 4, zone 5, we clear our side of zone. And then when the stadium just erupts at the end and they're chanting E8, I mean, you can't write something better than that, man.
No,
Like
it was
that's
perfect. It was perfect.
mm-hmm.
And it's like those are going to be the moments that it's like, okay, Reject Winity obviously won the thing, but like what were the top moments? Like obviously '07 dropping their whole team in and then coming back and winning,
Yes.
taking it from Dark Zero. That's a big one too. That one got a lot of things.
Yeah.
But like everybody's going to remember E8 winning the game after losing the first 5. Like it was awesome. So it's
That's like the most points in a finals match, right? It gotta be.
I
Or
think
somebody.
somebody said it was either first or second, because somebody said NRG had like a 20 kill win or something at one point.
mm,
So
Jeez.
I don't know if that's true or false for a finals lobby. Somebody would have to tell
We'll
me if
go
I'm
ahead.
right or wrong.
Until it's confirmed that it's not, I think we can go ahead
we'll
and
just say it.
roll with the fact that it was number one until we're proven wrong.
Super
know?
down.
I like that. I like that. I don't have. Do you want to hit him with it?
Yeah. All right. So everybody that we have on the pod, I always ask the same question, because everybody who we have on the pod is performing in the top 1% of the field that they're choosing. And in coaching, you satisfy that requirement most definitely. And so, what is one thing that you've learned on this journey that's allowed you to get into this top 1% of coaches in Apex Legends that somebody could take regardless of the field that they're pursuing and apply it and help them get to that top 1%?
I've got 2 things. First of which is that you can't be afraid to suck. So lean into the sucking. Uh, what I mean by that specifically is just whatever you're doing, whatever it is, if it's something as small as like doing the dishes or grilling out for the first time ever in your life, right? Do it and try to lean into not being good at it and embrace it and say like, hey, I know I'm not doing great right now, but hey, if I put the pieces together, I could be great by, next month, next year. As long as you're taking it day by day and you're just keeping it small and manageable, that's just embrace the suck. And then number two, really just try to love the people that you work with. I think I really appreciate them for who they are a lot more now. I think I struggled with that a lot when I was first starting coaching, is that I wanted to change everything. But the thing is that when you can start to accept people for who they are, it really makes things a lot more palatable for them. It makes them feel like they can be themselves and that they can express themselves freely. So I think that those are the two most valuable things for me.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, your insight is duly appreciated, and we thank you for hopping on the show this week and talking about the E8 saga. It was definitely fun to watch, and I was rooting for Cloud9, and I was saying throw up my nines, but then when you guys won, I was like, throw your eights up. Just get the eights up there. For that one game, I was like, you know what, I can swap teams.
You threw an eight.
I threw up an eight. I threw up some eights.
Did you do 4-4 or 5-3?
I did 5-3. I wanted out of the I wanted 5-3. So maybe for split 2 you could implement throwing the eights up. I'm okay.
How do we throw the eights?
So
up?
let me put
let
me put the actually let me put the mic down. We'll test both options real quick. Here we go.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Option 1. Option 2.
Okay.
Which one?
That's the 8.
Can we see option 1 again?
You want to see option 1 again? Here we go.
Yeah.
Watch on the YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, if you're watching audio, you can see this. You want option 2 again?
9. Well, that was
9.
nine.
That was 9. That was 9.
That was 9. Okay. I've never seen. See, I was expecting like you just did. You just did this.
What? I like. So this.
You threw up the. I was expecting like this, maybe one of these. I was not expecting the pinky 3.
Right? See how
if you were not watching the YouTube, you just missed out on the first time someone has ever put up a 3 using their pinky as one.
Yeah, that's how different I am.
Oh, man.
I think option 1 was the best. Option 1. I think that's what we do.
I'm down. Number 1's the way.
Yeah.
So that's how we're going. That's
there we go.
Sign.
Yeah, you
pinkies
guys
up.
throw the 8s up. Throw the 8s up,
throw
baby.
Your pinkies up, boys.
Yeah. Thanks, man, for hopping on. It's truly been a pleasure, and hopefully we get to talk. You can come back on whenever you want, whatever team you're on. We don't give a damn. We want to hear some more insight, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. Also, it was very sick watching you scarf down that entire box combo. That was impressive.
I mean, I'm feeling it now, but it was really good, guys. I think you can believe me.
Yeah, I believe.
I got it, bro. I got to say it one more time. Thank you guys so much for having me on, man.
No worries.
I appreciate you guys, and then we'll see you soon.
See you soon, my man. See you soon. Thanks for hopping on, bro.
Yeah, take care, man.
All right, ladies and gents, shout out to E8 Talmadge for hopping on the pod. It was an honor having him on. Great insight from a coach. Shout out Talmadge. You are the man. New segment alert. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on the pod, we're going to add something new to the end. Obviously, we always kind of just do the heart-to-heart and round it out and send it on the rest of the way, but we've got a brand new segment alert, voicemails. If you guys want to send in a voicemail, you can send it in completely anonymously. All you got to do is go to any of our social links. It'll be inside the link tree. You click the link, allow access to microphone, and then you can record up to 1 minute and 30 seconds of whatever you want. Send in the voicemail, and we may pick it. Obviously, we're going to get a good amount, so sometimes we may not get there, but don't be afraid to send in as many voicemails as you have. Thoughts, questions, Rostermania stuff, your thoughts on it. Really, I would rather hear your guys' thoughts than asking us our thoughts, unless it's like a hypothetical or something, because most likely we already talked about it on the show before you sent in the voicemail. So I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts, and then we could kind of go off on that. But you could also ask us questions about the podcast, life, whatever it is. Voicemails is for you guys, and we wanted to set that up. So once again, very easy. Click, allow access to microphone, record up to 30 seconds, or 1 minute and 30 seconds, send it in, and then your voicemail may be heard on the pod. Let's kick it off with the very first voicemail, and this one comes from a very special friend.
What's up, fellas? Just wanted to say thanks for letting me be back on the
The
show.
boy.
For all the listeners, thank you for being attentive and always listening to the boys and what we have to say. So I appreciate the past weekend. So shout out ALGS, shout out Apex for being the best esport in the game. Shout out to Apex the Pod for being the best. So love y'all. Keep doing your thing. Peace.
That was Finn. That was Finn.
So
That was Finn for people who didn't know. He didn't even say his own name. Shout out Finn. It only makes sense that he's the first voicemail ever aired on the voicemail segment. Shout out Finn. You are the man. Okay, next one comes from Connor. Connor. There we go.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Connor, aka Hyro Kid. I'm from Alabama. Just wanted to say I appreciate you guys so much for having this podcast available every single week.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate the hard work. I know it's not easy to get these out there. So I do just have a question related to Comp Apex for myself and many others out there that are probably wondering. I know I've played a lot of scrims and played in a lot of online tournaments, but Enoch or Wyatt or whoever can answer this question, what is the defining moment in a player's career that would determine maybe like the eye-opening moment that they can have that makes them realize, oh, I have a chance at making it in competitive Apex. I've got a shot at actually making a career out of this. I've got a chance at actually playing for a team or an org one day. Because obviously, Comp Apex, we're watching teams at LAN. That's the top 1%. It's like a lot of people play in the minor leagues all the time. What is that 1%? What is that one moment you think a player needs to have to make them realize, oh, snap, I've got a chance at making a living off of this? All right, guys, appreciate your response. Thanks so much. And let's keep Apex going for years to come. Love this game. Love you guys. Bye.
What do you think?
yeah, I mean, you just have to get to the place where you make the decision that it's something that you like want to do, and you have to genuinely believe that like you can do it.
Yeah,
And it's as simple as that, and then it's just about like putting in the work to making it happen. Because in order to like make like a career, to like make content, like obviously to be a pro player in Apex, you have to be incredibly talented at Apex, and you do that by putting in the hours and putting in the work to become an incredibly talented Apex Legends player. And when it comes, but like if you're not that great at the game, like you can still make content and you can provide value to people, and without that, I mean, look at Wyatt.
yeah.
No, but I mean, like you got like guys like Tony Romero. Like that dude is one of the best content creators in the game, in my opinion. And he's not that great at Apex, but he provides value. He makes funny content, and he's created a community of people. And so it really just you have to really just sit down and decide that's what you want to do. You have to have a compelling enough reason of like why you want to do it, and then you just gotta sit down and start putting in the work. Like most people will say like, oh, like I want to be like oh, I like playing Apex Legends, so I want to be like a professional Apex Legends player. And they don't, like they say like, I want to be an Apex Legends player, but like, do you want to play the game for 12 hours a day for 2 years straight and no days off and not take like because like there are guys out there who want the same thing as you and they're doing that. And so if you're going to try to beat them, you think you're going to beat those guys by doing your half-ass shit? Like you just got to figure out what you want to do. You got to figure out why you want to do it. And then you got to commit yourself to doing it, and then commit yourself to doing it for a longer amount of time, and to receive less success than you're going to think you deserve. Because most people quit because they put in like a year or two of hard work, and then in that third year where they would have blown up, they just quit and they just don't do anything. And because like they expect to see, because like they're putting in all this work and they're like, I deserve more. And so since I'm not getting it, it's just chalked, and it's just like you just gave up too early.
I'm 5 years deep on this podcasting thing. I'm 5 years deep. There's been so many nights where I'm just like, dude, I just don't know. Like, I don't know. And now, I go to LAN and I'm in there for 30 seconds and somebody is like, hey, is that Wyatt? Can I get a picture? It's like, you gotta keep going, even when it's tough. Like those moments are what make it worthwhile. As far as the Apex comp, I think it's somebody realizes they can do it the first time they win a match competitively and they feel that drive. I don't care what level it is. If you're in CC or like, let's just say you're playing high tier ranked, and like if you have enough drive the second you win that, you're like, I want to feel that at the highest level. That's where it starts. Now, what Enoch says comes into the second part of it, because a lot of people feel it and they don't act upon it. So I think that's where it begins. But that's a great question. I love that question. Next voicemail comes from Anonymous.
Yo, what's up, guys? Big fan of the podcast. Obviously, there's a lot of transfer stuff happening right now. So I've got two questions. Firstly, if you had to put Koifel into any NA team right now, which team are you picking? What's the dream? And second question, are there any teams outside of NA that you think would be a good fit to move to NA, or you'd like to see move to NA? Either under a different order or whatever. Thanks, guys.
Koifel, I think, is actually in a great spot with SSG.
Yeah, exactly where he's at.
I was
can't think of a
thinking
better fit.
maybe Complexity, because I think Complexity could use some more kills.
They definitely, he would provide that consistent firepower and playmaking ability that they don't necessarily they get a little bit out of that from Lou, but not as much as you would get with Koifel.
Yeah. And then as far as NA team, I'd like to see our team coming to NA. I'd like to see the Boogie Boarders come over here. I'd like to see that. APAC South. Give me another APAC South team. Oh, that's a good one.
I want to see, seeing Aurora compete in NA. That would be fun.
That would be wild. That actually
just take the best
Alliance
teams from all the world and just put them in NA.
yeah. Just do that.
Why not?
Okay, last voicemail of the week. Another Connor, a different Connor. Here we go.
Boys, what's up? It's Connor, aka Hyro Kid. Appreciate you guys doing the podcast week in and week out and throwing up the emergency pods. Great for the content game of Apex. Rostermania is absolutely nuts, bro. I cannot believe I literally wake up and I see Hal has joined Zero and Jen Burton, and I'm just like, why? Like, here we go. We have an evil NA super team. This is literally the villains. And I want to know you guys' thoughts on the roster move. Obviously, I'm sure you probably already answered it even before this voicemail. But what are your thoughts on which org is going to pick them up? Who even has the salary cap for it? The only team that I can imagine, org I can imagine, is 100 Thieves, but interested to see. Also, do you think Verhulst and Reps, if Reps doesn't retire or move to a different team, do you think they have what it takes to maintain a staple, to maintain, their I guess their position of being a staple team in the NA? I don't know. I love Evan. Evan's ripped. Evan's daddy. Hal is dead to me.
Okay, so I kept this one in here for the ending of him saying Hal's dead to me, but I also kept it in because I wanted I wanted your thoughts on, I thought that question was interesting about Evan and Reps maintaining their stature in NA.
Oh, they'll hold it down. No, they'll hold it down. I mean, Biggie, I think, has been emerging as like one of the best players in the game, point blank period. And when you combine him and Reps and you put Design in there, I think that's going to be a team that'll they'll be top 5.
There we go. That's all I wanted from that.
No, they'll hold it down, and then we already covered the other stuff.
All the other stuff. Saudi. Yeah. Okay. Well, ladies and gents, thank you to all the people who send in voicemails. Don't be afraid to send one in. Like I said, it'll be on all the social links. We're going to round out this bad boy with the heart to heart and send you guys on the rest of your week. Let's get it. All right, ladies and gents, heart to heart time. It is heart to heart time. I will go first. I don't really have a heart to heart. I already kind of said all the fans, all the listeners who came up and said, what's up? You guys will always have a special place in my heart. That was so cool. That was so awesome. From a guy who was just podcasting in his garage 5 years ago to having something like that happen. It feels really, really surreal. Very, very awesome. I love all of you guys. My heart to heart this week is more about this little contraption behind me. I spent a shit ton of money on this, and I'm going to keep it in the background of every podcast to get its money's worth, because the baby loves it, but it was way too much money. So I'm leaving it
tax
back
write-off
here.
For it being in the back? Does that move it into a tax write-off? Because you say it's that you just have it as a background for the pod?
I like where your brain's headed.
I don't know if that definitely is. That's questionable at best.
I like where your brain's headed, but we could try it out.
Questionable at best.
But it's Finding Nemo. It's pretty sick. She loves it. It's a nice little walker thing. If you spin Nemo right there, it makes water sounds and it lights up blue. I still don't think the price tag was worth it, but you know, the baby loves it. So we love that.
There we
That
go.
is my heart to heart this week. E.
My heart, dude. I'm joyful. I mean, I'm so excited about everything that's going on. I'm enjoying the new season. It's super great. Like, yes, like Havoc meta is still here, and that's kind of like, I mean, I just be using the Havoc. I mean, I just be having fun. I get wingman's on the floor. I'm grinding. I'm putting in the work, putting in the time, streaming, and I'm enjoying the journey. And road to number 1 is going to be a good one. It's going to be a long season. And then the best part is this is just the warm up.
Yeah.
This is the warm up because next split, it's summer break for young Fredward.
Ooh.
Which means that it's going to be a nice little number 1 grind round 2.
There we go.
And I'm being backpacked by an 11-year-old the whole time. Make it way easier than this one.
Let's go,
way
baby.
easier than this one.
Let's go, baby. Quick question. I know you got to go because you got to get on this grind, but I do want to ask: are you still broken up with Broken Moon, or do you like it now?
I don't mind it.
There we go. I like that.
I don't mind it at all. I'll let everybody who listens to the pod know that if you want, dude, I swear, if I start seeing y'all grief my games because of this, I'm gonna be disappointed. But I'm gonna put y'all on Breaker Wharf, ridiculously OP. Just make sure dude, it has 2 recon beacons because of how big it is. It has 2 recon beacon potential spawns. And if you have a control beacon as well, you have 3 beacons at your POI. You got a bunch of different, you're like on the edge of the map. You get nice clean rotates. It's a great spot. Also slept on spot that you might be missing out on.
Alpha base.
Cliffside.
Damn it.
Nah, Cliffside. Cliffside sleeper. That thing's got some juice, and you got nice little rotates from there. I'm enjoying it, dude. I'm just enjoying everything about it. Like there's like cheaters, but like they're not too crazy bad. And I'm a wingman gamer. Wingman's on the floor, and dude, wingman Havoc is just the best loadout ever. You don't lose ever. You got a wingman and a Havoc.
There you go. It's easy. It's really easy.
There you go.
All right. Well, ladies and gents, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. Shout out to Prize Picks, code Apex. We'll catch you guys next week. Rostermania will be in full swing. Not like it already isn't, but it will be probably even more in full swing. And we'll break all of that down next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we'll catch you guys for another episode of the Apex the Podcast. See ya.